Here.
Please stand for allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Absolutely. Pleasure to have Mr. Kurt Stow here from Henderson Incorporated. As I think many of you know, we are doing some roof work at the high school. With the original roof, the board made the decision, I think wisely so, to work in a phased-in program that we can afford over the next several years. Part of that decision was based on the fact that we don't have any major roof repairs this year. So we thought it was a good time to begin that process of making sure that we ensure that our high school roof is in good working order. And we do have an update on that work.
Do I need a mic? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out. You probably heard I was going to speak tonight. Today we're going to learn about roofing, so you can go to your next party and say, do you know what an elastomeric is, or an EPDM, or PVC, or an SBS, or an SEDF? You'll be able to answer that. And win the bet. We're going to go over what's going on at the high school fairly quickly. What? Right after this, I'll be having a computer class on PowerPoint. So this is an application update and a project status for the Stow High School that's going on right now. This would be our application update for the job. The area in blue, E1, E2, and E3 is an area that's being replaced on the high school. This is the area in the center that's having the roof replaced. And this is the area today that's prepared for a metal roof, standing seam metal roof to be applied to it. So the installation is installed, vapor barriers, and it's ready for the metal roof to be installed. These are areas that the metal has been installed. As we can see the center of the building up. Brand new road. It's an additional photo. They just started laying these panels today. Because of the curvature, you're going to have straight panels and then tapered panels also. Which means nothing to anyone but me here. But I was excited about that at the end of that curve. Now the project status, that's some situations that came up during the project. Here's the area once again that we're talking about. Once again, that's the area. And the existing roof was a tectum deck, 2 inches of coarse gypsum, which is like drywall on top of the tectum. This is tectum, right here. And on top of that was a 4-ply built-up roof that was protected by gravel or aggregate. That was for fire protection. The test had to be, the deck was tested with these devices. The pull-out test for faster to go into the deck. They have to reach a certain PSI of pull-out to wind up with. The test results were relatively low, so we came up with an alternate attachment of the insulation to the building. We retained the 4-ply built-up roof, we removed the aggregate, we cleaned it with a wet vacuum process. install the installation of nail base. The nail base is what the metal roof is going to be attached to, and the insulation is attached to the deck. So this is the proposed remedy to the low ratings for the pull-out test. I like that squiggly line because that represents the foam that we're going to put the insulation in. Very quiet crowd, it's fine. But the vacuum is done by that vacuum truck, hoses run up on the roof, there's water jets at the head of that vacuum, and they go back and forth and they clean the built-up roof of all the aggregate, the silt, the dirt, the debris, and then it's pumped into that truck. And all the way. The second issue is the wall panel on E1. There's a masonry wall that stands up on next to adjacent to E1. The masonry on E1 is deteriorating. Our recommendation would be to install vertical metal panels to retard the deterioration and prevent damage to the existing masonry by putting the metal panels on. There will be no vapor flow, so water inside the wall will vapor out. We'll have a dry substrate. Nothing. All right. If I didn't get this to contractors, they would be standing up. Okay, so the wall will prevent water from permanently infiltrating the masonry. To the top here, this is the existing wall. It's about 177 feet long. Down below are the wall panels that were installed at the high school on the east end. That's what they look like after the wall is covered. That's our wall. And this is what's going on to it. Simplify. There's fractures in the both the bed and head joints of the mortar. We repaired with caulking, trying to keep water from flowing in. Get a drink of water, which is apparently my tongue made its presence. Sorry. Here's a neat fact. If you lay that wall down in a 28-degree-mile-per-hour windstorm, a thunderstorm, I'm sorry, that's as if you take that wall and lay it down. So if you picture that laying down and pouring water on it, you have leaks. So it's no longer a vertical wall. So in these driving rainstorms, if you look at the masonry wall, they say this thing laying down is going to leak. That's a great one at a party, because nobody knows that. Once again, sorry. This is a deteriorated head joint mortar, deteriorated. So driving rain can get in. So your caulking is failed. That's an original caulking. And then it's failed. So we're proposing a wall panel that spans the metal panels on the left side here. I don't have my laser pen, but it would be shading too much anyway. But the wall panel's on the left, and then you have a vapor channel, and then the masonry wall. So it's a very successful application to stop what's going on with those masonry walls as they age out. So instead of tuck pointing them out. This is a summary. There's a running through the costs. There's some deducts because the work that wasn't done, because of the way installation was installed in the pads, and we come down to $8,185, which is above the contingency of $10,000 that was in the spec. So it's an overall balance of $8,000. Thank you very much.
What do they do with the old gravel?
I'm sorry?
The old gravel that's on the roof. What do they do with it?
The owner can retain it. I think they retained the aggregate. And it was spread on most spots in the district.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kurt, we have on the agenda to have the board consider doing a change order to make sure this
Yes.
applies. So can you just make a case why it's important that we do that now versus waiting a week, 2 weeks, a month?
Yes. I showed the metal panels being installed, and the area that is prepared for the metal panels, and that wall is on that section. As they run those panels, if the walls are not encapsulated with the metal, and that's done at a later time, it would be a substantial increase in cost. Because once the metal panels are run, it's very difficult to install the wall panel without damaging the metal panels below. So it's highly recommended that those wall panels be installed right before the roof panels are installed, and then everybody's off the roof. So there's no construction taking place. It's a standing seam, so pressure on the standing seams will push them down. You don't want that.
And forgive my ignorance. We did not know that prior to. This is something that we discovered along the way.
Yeah.
It's necessary.
Right. Also with the adhesion of the insulation.
Are there any questions from the board?
There at the end, you mentioned $8,000. What's that denote? What about a
This is for
warranty?
the board.
If you have questions, feel free to ask them, but
Can't hear
we
you.
need to move on. We need to move on with our business. Does anyone else have any questions? Thank you so much for presenting tonight, I appreciate it. Ms. Baldwin.
Yes, before you get on to the next line I would like to comment that, as you know, the board's minutes are prepared in draft until they're voted on by the board. Typically, if there were a factual inaccuracy in the minutes, a board member would contact me directly prior to the meeting and ask me to check and correct it if necessary. As I analyzed the June 11th board approved minutes for accuracy, I detected a clerical mistake. The resolution to go into executive session action was missing the actual basis for the executive session pursuant to Ohio law, which was specifically set forth in the motion and seconded and was vocalized by the respective board members at the meeting. As you've witnessed, I'm always very careful for a vote to go into executive session to be certain the board clearly states appropriate sunshine law reasons to go into executive session before calling the roll. To be clear, the board did enter executive session to discuss employment and compensation of personnel appropriately. However, the minutes were missing those words. I sincerely apologize for not catching this error prior to your action at the August 27th meeting, but admit it happened, and your approval tonight will remedy this error and set the record straight.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Mr. Spangler and seconded by Mrs. Wright. Roll call.
Mr. Bonacci?
Aye.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright? Aye. Mr. Armstrong?
Abstain.
Okay, Dr. Jones.
Thanks, Mrs. Powers. My recommendation refers, well, the first recommendation refers to the report that we just heard. I do wish to recommend the Board of Education approve the change order to cover the revision of the scope of the high school roof replacement project as presented in Exhibit Number 1.
So moved. Second. Moved by Mrs. Wright and seconded by Mrs. Powers. Roll call.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright? Aye. Mr. Armstrong?
Aye.
Mr. Bonacci?
Aye.
Item B is our new Transportation Director, High School Maintenance and Grounds Supervisor. And we had Mr. Damon, of course, come to our board meeting last time. We thanked him for his great work. We sincerely appreciate that. Big shoes to fill. And we went through a very, very lengthy interview process. We had 14 applicants for this position. We interviewed 9 of those individuals, and they went through 3 different rounds of interviews. So they went through contracts as well. We had a number of people involved with that, including principals, central office, administrators, board members, athletic director, maintenance supervisor. We had 2 bus drivers and 2 administrative assistants to the transportation director. And after probably about, I'd say about 3 hours or so or plus of interviews and conversation, I'm very, very proud to recommend to the Board of Education Mr. Larry Conley as our new transportation director and high school maintenance and grounds supervisor. Mr. Conley comes to us with a wealth of experience in the transportation industry. He's been working with FedEx for 29 years, 14 of those years as a driver. So that was very important to us in terms of him knowing just exactly what drivers go through and doing the kind of job that's necessary on the road and doing things safely for our children. For 15 years, he's been a supervisor at FedEx, and I talked to his supervisor as a reference, and first thing he said was, I know he's applying, we don't want to lose him. And that's a great way to kind of start that reference check. And he has great working relationship with people, but he's no nonsense, and he will do a phenomenal job for us. So I do wish to recommend the Board of Education approve the administrative contract as presented in Exhibit number 2, hiring Larry Conley as our transportation director and high school maintenance and grounds supervisor.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Powers and seconded by Mr. Spangler. Roll call.
Mr. Spangler.
Aye.
Mrs. Wright.
Aye.
Mr. Armstrong.
Aye.
Mr. Bonacci.
Aye.
Mrs. Powers.
Aye.
And Larry is here tonight to help me introduce him. So Larry, Mike, congratulations.
It's going to be hard to follow Kennerson's promote thing there, but I'll give it my best. I want to thank the school board, the administration for choosing me for this wonderful opportunity. I really appreciate it. We're a member of the community. My wife, Kelly, my 2 kids, Maya and JP, they go to Lakeview schools here. We plan on living the rest of our lives here in Stow. So I just hope I can contribute to the school board, the school district, and keep this fine transportation department moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Item C also deals with our transportation department, and of course, Larry needs to give his current employer, notice, and we want to make sure that our children continue to be arriving at school safely and coming back home safely on a daily basis, and make sure that the operation of the district from transportation point continues. So I am recommending that we hire Mr. John Damon as an interim administrator, so that not only can he make sure that all the needs and issues regarding the bus are handled over the next couple of weeks, but also can work with Larry in terms of the transition as he moves into that very important role. So I do wish to recommend that the Board of Education approve the interim administrative contract as presented in Exhibit number 3.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Wright, seconded by Mr. Spangler. Roll call.
Mrs. Wright.
Aye.
Mr. Armstrong.
Aye.
Mr. Bonacci.
Aye.
Mrs. Powers.
Aye.
Mr. Spangler.
Aye.
Okay. Report, please.
My report, obviously we're here at Echo Hills Elementary School. I'd like to welcome everyone. And I would also like to introduce our new principal here at Echo Hills Elementary School, Mr. Dave Albrecht, and I kind of joked with him before the meeting that, first year in the new gig, and the first community meeting is at your building, and you got to do a report. So, welcome to our district. Welcome back to our district, I should say. Principal at Echo Hills, Mr. Dave Albrecht.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Can everybody hear me okay? I trust I'm up to the challenge of leading the group this year. for building reports. I have a brief report for you this evening. I'd like to welcome the Board of Education members and the community to Echo Hills Elementary School. This will take just a moment to sync up. There we go. All right. It is August, September time. We're back to school. And thoughts very rapidly turn to the basics of education, the 3 R's, the reading, the writing, and the arithmetic that we all remember so very well. My message for you this evening, as part of my welcome to you to Echo Hills, is to say to you that even though education has changed drastically, just even in the last 10 years, the 3 R's are still very much viable. They're still a very big part of what we do in educating the children of Stow and Munroe Falls. But the 3 R's, well, they need a little help. You see, the 3 R's are still that strong foundation. We had our presenter earlier talk about structural issues. I guess I'll use that metaphor. The 3 R's are still our strong foundation. They guide us. They tell us where we need to go with our children. They guide our curricular decisions. But in the 21st century, preparing children for jobs that, frankly, haven't even been created yet. That's what we're doing every single day in the Stow Munroe Falls City Schools. We've added some letters. We've added 4 C's. 4 C's of 21st century curriculum. Critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. And I'm very pleased to report to you that even though my time here at Echo Hills has been short so far, I'm seeing lots of 3 R's and even more 4 C's. And so this evening I thought it might be a good idea to allow one of our experts on the 3 R's and the 4 C's talk with you for a few moments about the great work that she's doing in her classroom. At this time I'd like to introduce Mrs. Jamie DiLorenzo, one of our 3rd grade teachers.
In 3rd grade, we're discussing the responsibilities and the characteristics of good citizens. And my 3rd graders, and I have 2 of them here tonight that I'll introduce in a minute, my 3rd graders should be able to tell you that one of the responsibilities of being a good citizen is being informed about current issues. So in my class, I gave the students current issues, and they were able to sign up for a current issue of their interest and then turn it into a newscast. So we had 5 different newscasts, and we could only show one here tonight. And 2 of my students, if you wouldn't mind standing up, is Luke Dane and Owen Bainbridge. So if you could give them a round of applause. You're going to see they did a newscast on Neil Armstrong. And we watched our newscast in class today, and they were able to critique themselves, and this group in particular said that they wish they would have turned the volume up a little bit and to look at the camera more. So next time when we do our newscast, we'll make sure and work on those points. I personally think they did a great job though. Thank you.
Today we're going to be talking about the first person who landed on the moon, Neil Armstrong. Here is Luke, who is going to about when he died. Thank you all.
Apparently the principal needs to work on the 4 C's.
On Saturday, August 25th, the first man to walk on the moon, Neil Armstrong, passed away. He was the man who once said, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." It was very unexpected how he died. They say that it was technical difficulties in his heart surgery. Once again, he's the man who said, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." Back to you all. Here is Owen, and he is going to talk to you about that it was technical difficulties in his heart surgery. Once again, he's the man who said, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." Back to you all. Here is Owen, and he is going to talk to you about
we'll just stop it at that point. What Mrs. DiLorenzo's class has shared with us is just one great example, even though we're having a little trouble streaming YouTube this evening. Probably a lot of people trying to hit the same access point, but that's all right. The point here is, technical difficulties aside, just as Neil Armstrong faced them in his flight, you heard the children talking about that, how much more did the children learn about this current event, the passing of an American hero, by taking part in an activity that was so much more deeply involved than simply reading it in a newspaper. They were involved in planning. They were involved in collaborating. They were involved in communicating. And yes, just as their principal had to overcome some technical difficulties, I'm sure they did sometime along the way as well. So we're very, very proud of our students here at Echo Hills. This is just one great example of the kinds of work that goes on every single day in every single classroom. I'm very proud to be an instructional leader of this building, and I thank you all very much for your attention.
We have certificates for the students who were involved in the project. Certificate of recognition presented to those students. All are not in attendance today, so I'm going to give these students an honor so we can give those to the students who were involved. Okay?
I'll take care of that. Thank you.
Okay, this time, we have community discussion. Please state your name and your address.
My name is Mary Haas, and I'm at 889 Lily Road in Cumberland Falls. Thank you for letting me speak here this evening. First, I sent this letter to the Stow Sentry, but it wasn't published. Also, please understand that this is solely my opinion, and I am speaking on my own behalf without any influence from anyone. I simply feel the need to express my thoughts and feelings as a responsible citizen. After reviewing tapes of district board meetings and attending some of them, it is my opinion that Mr. Armstrong has acted in an egregious and disgraceful manner as a member of the Stow Munroe Board of Education.
Sorry, Mrs. Moss, please don't mention anyone by name.
When business professionals have addressed the board, certain people have insulted and degraded them and treated administrators and other board members in the same way, and it is embarrassing to the community that anyone representing the community should conduct himself in this manner. Instead of being a conscientious leader and discussing with colleagues how situations such as the one with the former high school principal should be handled, certain people chose to use the circumstances as an opportunity to grandstand to the Stow community in an egotistical way to gain attention while putting the district in a bad light. As an employee housed in the central office, I was privy to a confrontation displayed after a board meeting when certain people came into the central office and very loudly and angrily and aggressively demanded certain records. In my opinion, these actions were unprofessional and threatening, and so people try to bully central office personnel. This man was elected to his current position not through a mandate, but because so many others were also running for the same seat. And how unlucky for Stow that the cards fell as they did. And he garnered a few more votes than his running mates. This does not qualify him in any way to serve, it just gives him a title. Having been an employee of 3 school districts for a total of 27 years, and as such have perhaps up to 25 different board members as my employer, never have I been so embarrassed by the behaviors of any of them as I am with this person. His motives and actions do speak for themselves, and I do encourage him to resign.
Hi. Folks hear me? Okay, good. Why,
Your name and address, sir?
what?
Your name and address, please.
Oh, yeah. Jim Barnett, 1274 Mac Drive, Stowe, Ohio.
Thank you.
Oh, 43U. Well, I appreciate this opportunity, folks, tonight, because I'm thinking we really don't need another levy, but we got one. What I don't understand is the need. What I hear, there's about 14 billion in slush funds somewhere out there. And I mean, we got so many levies coming up. They're going to drop and they're going to rise. But again, I reminded last time, the state thing. State Supreme Court said no. But here we are, right back at it again. And I was talking to a fellow the other day, me, 14% of his total income is paid in levies. Well, that's a bite. That's a bite. Now, I don't know what you guys had in mind, the school board, when we were getting older, what was going to happen to us. Well, I can tell you what's going to happen. It's going down the drain. When I retired in '93, I went to Florida 3 months out of the year. My 401 is really depleted. My income, static. I hate the term fixed income because that denotes a little bit of a okay situation. Mine is okay. So people think about this levy. Give it some serious thought. Because, first of all, it's illegal. I mean, the Supreme Court said it was. But you're overriding the Supreme Court. What do you got them for? What do you need them for? Now, I'll tell you, I appreciate this opportunity. It's been long coming. We need open mic sessions here at the school. Any school where there's a school board meeting. And we should have them more often, and more people getting involved, especially seniors. They just seem to go away. Of course, they do shortly, but it's a sad situation, and I'm kind of hoping we pay attention to this next levy, because it's no good.
Mr.
It's
Barnett,
no
I'd
good
like
for
to remind
anyone.
you that your 3 minutes is almost up. Please.
What?
Your 3 minutes is up.
Well, it's too bad. I appreciate you folks, so really.
I would like to remind the public that the levy coming up in November, which we did get an issue number today, is number 67, is a renewal. It is not a new tax. Taxes you're already paying are for a levy that expires this year. We have been operating with those dollars, and it's critical to our operations for that levy to continue. It is not a new tax. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak at this time? State your name and address, please.
Molly Emery, 3201 Portland Way. Okay. The actions of one board member have become unacceptable. He has lost his ability to effectively communicate with his fellow board members and the administration. I have a hard time believing that the other 6 people up here with you are all hiding things, sweeping things under the rug, and you are the only one who knows everything. He was downright rude in past board meetings to the solar guy, the energy guy, He thinks everyone is out in this community to rip off, he thinks everyone is out to rip off the taxpayers. He is now involved in self-promotion and self-enrichment. His actions have brought disgrace to this district and humiliation to the students. You say you're trying to teach the students a lesson in being bullied. Well, you are the bully. You should care about all students. What about the 2 kids you threw under the bus? You took an oath.
Objection.
Because of these facts, he has become
You cannot make it a board member.
ineffective in his duties, and he has become effective in his duties as a member of this board. Since he has a propensity to walk out of meetings, I suggest for the good of the district, he immediately resign his position and walk out of here one last time. Thank you.
Killing children?
Sorry. Is there anyone else who has any comments? Okay, then I'd like to move on to the work session, please.
That could be a lawsuit. Another one.
There will be no more outbursts, sir, please.
At the upcoming board meeting, under the treasurer's recommendations would be the financial report and check register for the month of August. And after the board approved the permanent appropriation resolution at the last meeting, we received notice of a difference in funding in 2 different funds. So we have submitted to the Summit County Budget Commission a revision to that, and we will bring the permanent appropriation resolution to the next meeting to revise that.
Thank you.
Some personnel items we have coming up. Title I tutor, ESL tutor, Echo Hills food manager. The Echo Hills food manager position has been open for some time, and we do conducting interviews and making recommendations to the board. ESL tutor is a result of a number of students that we identified as in need of that service, so it's a tough one to call prior to the school year, so we'll be recommending that. Also, we do have a leave of absence currently. There also are a few more supplementals that we've been able to secure. We can try to get them all as early as we can in the school year, prior to the school year for that matter, but there always are some we're trying to look through. So we've got about 18 or 20 of those that we will be presenting to you. We also have another student who, based on the IEP, will be in need of Harbor Education Services. We've certainly seen that organization before. You may remember the Akron Children's Hospital agreeing to their services. Their legal counsel wanted to identify the people who would specifically be in each building for their needs, and we ran that past our legal counsel and concurred. So we asked you to approve that. Is it fair to say it's a revision of that, just because they wanted to get the specific appointments of each of their people in those buildings?
And there is one other revision relative to the employees that Akron Children's Hospital employs and their SERS contribution. And the revision in the contract is more specific to the Akron Children's Hospital collecting the portion and then submitting it to us. So that's this other revision to that contract.
also have, in November, of course, the general election, and some county board of elections requested to use our buildings. At this point in time, we don't know which buildings yet, but hopefully by the time that we ask the board to approve that, it will have those specific buildings. Also, I want to make mention, and I talked to the board about this in my Friday update, that we're kicking off our annual United Way campaign in our district. And we met with representatives from United Way today, and we're really going to get that thing kicked off with our administrative meeting later this month. And our district has done a phenomenal job in contributing to this worthwhile project. And today I was presented with this plaque, which I will show the board and also the public. And I will take the liberty to read a few of the items that are on here. Our district last year contributed $9,304 to the United Way campaign in Summit County, and that represented a 19.9% increase over the previous year. And our average gift was $88.50 per person who did give. And one of the great things about the United Way is the dollars stay here in Summit County. And they contribute to things like adults who are unable to read, getting tutoring services, students who did not complete high school getting their GED, which makes their employment, makes them more employable, I should say, to live-in adults, elderly adults who are by themselves, and to have the emergency call, button in case they do run into a difficult health situation, pays for those kinds of things. So I want to congratulate all the individuals in our school district that participated last year. We're going to kick that off, and I would like to present this plaque to our board president, Mrs. Powers, on behalf of the United Way.
Thanks to all the employees do contribute to this, and I thank them. Look forward to this next year too.
Also, I want to mention that on Thursday, we have a meeting scheduled to take a look at our school year calendar for the next 3 years. And that basically means identifying what is the first day of school, the last day of school, when winter break begins, when spring break is, those kind of things. End of the 9 weeks, conferences, and that type of thing. So we have that meeting scheduled for Thursday afternoon, and we have representatives from the STA will be there because we work cooperatively with them in creating that calendar. We also have representatives from the district leadership team who will be there, and 2 parents, 2 students. Mr. Munroe, high school principal, Mr. Feldman, I believe, is going to be there as well. Probably forgetting a couple of people, but that group will work collaboratively to look at the calendar for the next 3 years, and then we hope at some point in the near future to present the board with calendars for the next 3 years. I like doing 3 years so families can kind of plan ahead in terms of when spring break is, when summer vacation begins, when the school year starts. Just to put out there publicly, and I would appreciate any input from the board in terms of your perspective. One of the things that some school districts have done recently is, in fact, Twinsburg, I believe Hudson and Talmadge either have done this or in the process, and that is to start the school year. There's students out there, duck if there are. To start the school year about a week earlier. The reason behind that is to try to finish the first semester right at the end of, or at the beginning of winter break. So in other words, the last day of the first semester, the rationale goes, would be the end of the first semester, the last day before winter break. The part of the thinking is that the way we do it now, and we've done it for a long time, and a lot of districts do this, we break for winter vacation, about 2 weeks roughly. Kids come back January 3rd, 4th, 5th, you name the day. The semester ends January 13th, 14th, 15th, when they're taking exams. High school teachers have, it's a struggle. Kids are off 2 weeks, you come back. How much more information do we throw at them, expect them to master, and then start to prepare for the exams? So that's part of the thinking behind it. And then also you end up with an earlier ending date, likely Memorial Day-ish, right in that time frame. On the other hand, starting as we do now, August 24th or so, move that up a week. We have one air-conditioned elementary building, and Lakeview is not air-conditioned. And if you've been up on the second floor of Lakeview, like some of our teachers and students are, in the hot days, that becomes an issue. So that's one item that may come up. Also, we are part of the 6th District Compact, which is our career tech program. And what we have historically done, ever since I was in school, as a matter of fact, is all 6 of the districts in our compact try to stay on the same spring break. Because if we do not do that, our kids kind of get caught in the middle, because if there's a Stow student going to Hudson for auto repair, and we're on spring break one week, and Hudson's on spring break the other week, that student has to be with us that one week for half a day, and Hudson the next week for half a day, and they don't get a spring break. It makes it difficult. Plus, we have transportation issues.
Buses.
Yeah, because we're off and our workers.
Welcome to the crowd there.
So we really try to maintain the integrity of that common spring break for our students. Furthermore, Kent City Schools, which is a member of the compact and houses many of our programs, their spring break is always tied to Kent State spring break. The reason for that is so many of folks in Kent who have kids in Kent schools work for the university in one capacity or another. So they always tie into that spring break. So that's where our spring break, if you look at historically, our spring break has always been when Kent State's is. So Kent can tie into that, and then we don't, mess up our career tech kids. So that's another piece that we'll be looking at. Not that we're going to change it, but just so we all know that that's kind of how that all evolves. So I just wanted to, again, make the board aware and also the public that, hopefully in the coming months, we'll be presenting the next 3 years school contract, or school years calendar for the board for their consideration.
No, I'm assuming that the holiday break pretty much coincides with the other schools in the compact too.
Yeah, we try to, typically, sometimes there's a day or two for one reason or another where it doesn't match up. We try to do that. And just a quick comment, I've been a member of BASA, is the Buckeye Association of School Administrators. That's the Ohio Superintendent's professional organization. They do professional development and leadership opportunities and updates and notifications of things that are changing, pending legislation. I've had the privilege of being on the BASA report card committee the last several years, I think probably about 4 or 5 years now. And they meet basically quarterly in Columbus, and that's given me an opportunity to really be up to date on what's happening with changes in the state report card that we all see. It's delayed this year. It also provides some input and represent our students and our parents and our community in that. So I'm proud to have done that. It does take me out of the office, those four times a year. I also have recently been able to be a member of, or become a member of the BASA STRS board, which is a state retirement system. And I think many of you know there's consideration of changes in the retirement systems for all of our public employees. And in my new role as the HR director, I thought it would be appropriate that I sit on that committee which does make recommendations to members of the ODE who do speak to the state legislature. So it does give us a connection, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to inform our employees about changes, pending changes, so they can make good decisions about their future. And we also have coming up some gifts at this point in time for our next meeting for your consideration. The Knox family has been doing some fundraising, and they want to provide $20 to Indian Trail. Hopefully I'll have some more detail about the specific fundraising. And Fairway Tower and Manor has donated approximately $100 in office supplies for the district. I believe they've changed buildings and they had some supplies that they didn't use, and so we will certainly distribute those. And the Stow Munroe Falls PTSA, $3,000 for the new sign that we are proposing be put up in front of the high school. That is going to be presented to City Council for their final approval on Thursday. And that will be an electronic rolling sign that we will be able to provide messages, information, and change it pretty quickly, change it electronically so that we can update the community, parents, students on things happening at the high school. And that has all been funded without, by donations. It's a student council project, and as I mentioned, PTSA at the high school wants to donate $3,000 for that project.
And if I could just add one more thing, it's not up on the list. We are looking at, on the heels of that beautiful turf up at the high school, we understand that we need the track resurfaced up there. It was a project we couldn't get into because the football games started, and so did the soccer games. So we are looking